Hello, this is section 4, Orchestrate Cloud and Container Environments. In this section, we will look at security with Ansible Vault, automating Amazon Web Services with Ansible, building Amazon machine images, managing Docker with Ansible, Ansible Docker Connector, and Ansible and Kubernetes. Security with Ansible Vault. In this video, we will look at Ansible Vault, encrypted variable files, and organizing group variables with Vault. In this section, we'll look at more advanced uses of Ansible to configure the infrastructure on which our applications run. We'll be configuring cloud and container environments. Now, as we start using Ansible in a more advanced way, we'll start to collect secrets, passwords, tokens, information like that needs to be kept private. We don't want it checked into version control. But in keeping with our principle of configuration management, we do still want the documentation for all of the information that we use to build our system, and that includes these secrets. So we need a way to store those secrets in version control while still keeping them safe. To do that, we use Ansible Vault. Ansible Vault allows us to encrypt secrets so that we can safely check them into version control. We choose a Vault password. We use it to encrypt the files that Ansible will be using that contain those secrets. We can encrypt task files or templates, but usually we use it to encrypt variable files. Once we have encrypted the file, we can store it in version control without worrying about giving away the secret information that's inside. When we run Ansible Playbook, Ansible can read the password from a file that's not in version control, or it can just prompt us to enter the password. As long as we keep that password safe, keep it out of version control, we don't have to worry about losing any of our secret content or giving away access to it. Let's look at an example of how we can use Ansible Vault to secure secret information. In our last section, we looked at using an InfluxDB role downloaded from Ansible Galaxy. We used it to install InfluxDB. We then looked at configuring that role so we could have it create a database, a user, and then give privileges to that user for that database. When we configured the role, we provided a user password. You can see it here on line 10. But we provided it in the clear. It was visible to anyone who could access our version control repository. We really need to secure this password. Now, we could do that by just using Ansible Vault to encrypt this entire database file. But most of the content of this variable file is not private. We only really need to secure the password. And if we encrypt the entire file, it will make it more difficult to edit in Ansible to track changes to it over time. So what we would prefer to do is only encrypt the password. We can do that by taking advantage of Ansible's ability to reference one variable in another file from this file. Here's how we start. Under group vars, as you can see on the left, we've created a directory called servers. That allows us to have multiple YAML files that all apply to the servers group. In the main.yaml, we put most of the variable information. We then, instead of providing the password directly, as you can see, we provide a reference to the password variable using the same kind of double curly braces that we've seen before. We then create a second file. I've chosen to call it vault.yaml for convenience of understanding what it's for. In vault.yaml, we just put that password variable. When Ansible collects all of the variables, it will do the substitution to place this value into that other data structure so that this is used as the password. Of course, the one piece that's missing is to actually encrypt this vault.yaml file using Ansible Vault to keep this password secure. Let's go ahead and do that, and we'll see what happens as a result. I'm going to run the Ansible Vault command to do this encryption. You can see I just run Ansible Vault with a command of encrypt, and then I give it the path to the file that I want encrypted. It prompts me for a password. I'm just going to enter the word password. And after I've entered it the same way twice, it says encryption successful. Of course, for your own purposes, please use a better password than the one that I just used. Now that we've done this, if we look at the content of that variable file, we can see it contains encrypted content. As you can see, it's no longer possible to view that password, that keep me secret password. Instead, we just see a reference to the fact that this is encrypted by Ansible Vault. Now that we have encrypted this file, we can run Ansible Playbook almost exactly at the same way we usually do. We just need one more command line switch to let it know we want it to prompt us for the Vault password. Ansible Playbook will be smart enough to notice that this file was encrypted with Ansible Vault, to use the password to decrypt it so that it can use that value to create the InfluxDB user. Let's see our Ansible Playbook command. So far, the same as before. Now we just add this one more command line switch to tell it to prompt us for the password. I just enter the same password I used before, and you can see it goes on as normal. We'll wait for it to finish. Okay, so here we are back. We can see that InfluxDB has installed. We can see that it created the Influx user, and you'll notice that it used the password we provided as the password for that user. So it went in, it decrypted that variable file, used that password, and it then created the user. Now, it decrypted the variable file, but it only did so in memory. If we print out the variable file again, you can see that the content is still encrypted. So on disk, it stays encrypted. It's only decrypted in memory for use. As you can see, Ansible Vault is very important for keeping this kind of secret information in Ansible in a way that allows us to still have configuration management over that information, keep it in version control without exposing it to anyone who can see the repository. That concludes our look at Ansible Vault.